Hi there. For those of you who are new here, welcome. And for those who've been here before, then welcome back. I do feel it's my responsibility to give a slight warning before this story that there are a few scenes that are a little graphic. So if you are a bit squeamish, then I would advise you to proceed with caution. Other than that, I hope you enjoy the story. Please be sure to stick around till the end where there is a short announcement segment. Just like to share a few stuff with you guys. Anyways, on to the story. I was too young for many of the things that I saw that night, but in particular, I was far too young to tell time. All I remember was that I was torn from my dreams by the sound of deep thuds. For a moment, I lay still in bed with my eyes wide open. I tried to pass it off and fall back to sleep, but then I heard it again. 3 deep thuds. My childish imagination ran wild with thoughts of giants walking up to my window and many other big and scary things. This unease built up inside of me, and I couldn't lay still any longer, so I sat up, and I found myself in a dark, dark place. A place that was too dark. A place that should have been familiar to me. The bed I was laying in was certainly mine. I could tell because I could feel my superhero duvet spread across me. This should have brought me comfort, but it didn't. I felt as though this space had been stolen from me. I was immediately overwhelmed by the viscous emptiness. The darkness was so tangible it threatened to suffocate me. Driven by this childish fear, and with my hands over my eyes, my feet hit the floor and I went full sprint. I don't have any idea how I made it through the bedroom door without crashing violently into the door frame, but as soon as I was out of there, I stood away from the door and I tried to catch my breath. My moment of relief, however, was short-lived, because this is when I noticed it again. They sounded louder and they felt closer this time. 3 deep thuds. I was convinced that I wasn't just hearing things anymore. These thuds were too real. They were heavy and they seemed to be coming from outside. As their vibrations moved through the house to reach me, something else crept through the house to reach me as well. It was another sound, a sound that I hadn't heard for many, many years. It was the sound of Big Sis crying. It swept through the passageways and it clawed at my eardrums. My fear and uncertainty grew past their limits, forcing me back into a sprint. My feet were swift, but these passageways were like a maze, and Big Sister's mourning finally clawed at my eardrums, so I started crying too. I felt the tears kiss my cheeks, but these kisses were nothing like my mother's. For my mother's kisses brought me comfort, something the childish heart within me needed desperately in that moment. I was dazed and confused. The path through these hallways was slowly becoming less and less obvious. But there was some sort of ironic hope. I could tell that I was drawing nearer to the source of this onslaught of dreadful noises. Amidst the chaos, I realized that there was something else. This time it didn't creep up on me like the others. It hit me like a truck. A question jumped to the front of my mind. Why is Mommy screaming? This question ran through my mind as I slid into the passage. I speculated as I sprinted, and the answer came to me with the cruelest of ironies. The realization nearly stopped me dead in my tracks. All this noise, all this chaos, Big Sis crying, Mom screaming, and the loud thuds, but I hadn't heard Dad make a single sound. What was Dad doing? I begged for an answer. I turned the final corner, but there was no time for relief as I practically threw myself down the stairs at the thought of what was possibly happening. I burst through the front door and I was immediately made aware that my worst fears were nowhere near the twisted reality of the situation. In less than a second, it became instantly clear that even with this childish imagination of mine, that had already conjured up all sorts of horrors, all kinds of terrible ideas, all sorts of explanations for what could have been happening, I knew right there that my extreme expectations of the brutality I thought I would encounter could not have been violent and demented enough. First, I noticed the blood. It wasn't immediately clear to me whose blood it was exactly, but that's only because there was so much of it. The viscous crimson fluid coated the paved front yard in increasing quantities. I tried looking around to attempt to come to some understanding of what was happening. I saw my mother standing in the corner with little sister in her arms, holding her as she mourned dreadfully. All the while, Mom kept begging Dad to stop. What was she begging him to stop? I turned my head and the answer to that question was made clear in a graphic fashion. My dad stood there with a crimson-coated metal baseball bat in his blood-stained hands, and I watched as he raised it, so quickly. He then tensed his biceps and he brought it down with a thundering force. The baseball bat came crashing down on the head of our dog. He raised it again, bringing it down on its back this time. A third time he raised it and brought it down with the sound of snapping bones and bruising flesh. My eyes crawled across our dog's bruised and battered, yet lively and relentless body. Then they crawled to her head, and then to her mouth, a mouth full of bloodied fangs. Crimson canines were digging deep into bleeding flesh. My eyes kept crawling, and then I saw it. A man. Well, what was left of a man. He lay there. His throat was a mess of torn arteries and ruptured veins. His lifeless body moved only in response to the vicious tugs on his mangled throat. His face. Oh God, his face. I knew immediately that he was dead. Those eyes were so pale, and out of his mouth came a river of red. The picture is still in my mind. His face frozen in that one final expression. Such painful regret, such fear, such sorrow. The baseball bat had not spilled his blood, no, not at all. The bat was a futile attempt at stopping his blood from being shed. As for the consequences, my dad was innocent. Our CCTV clearly showed a man jump over our wall. He was unfortunately met by our black Labrador. This was strange to see for me because she was usually the most playful thing ever, but in that footage she was something else. It's as if a kill switch had been flipped. She would have had to be put down because of what she did to him, but that wasn't needed. Her injuries were too great for her to recover from them. The cops say that the man was a robber, a filthy, no-good, rotten thief who deserved what he got, but what if? So when I tell you that I hate dogs, please understand that this isn't some silly dislike or fear in the same way that children hate clowns. It isn't a phobia either. It comes from an experience that still claws at my soul and steals my sleep. An experience that opened my childish eyes that night, opened them to the nature of the world we live in. Now this happened relatively long ago and I'm not a child anymore, but I still don't like dogs. So I'm sure you can imagine my shock yesterday afternoon when I was laying on my bed and my phone lit up with a notification. Family group. Message from Dad. This dog needs a home. Hi there, again. If you've made it this far, then one of three things has happened. Either the story was so boring that you fell asleep halfway through, or you really enjoyed it, or it was so boring that you fell asleep halfway through. One of those three options. But anyways, all of that aside, I do hope you enjoy the story, and thanks for sticking around till the end. I do have a question for all of you guys though. What do you think is the optimal length for a story? What is your preferred length for one of these audio stories? For some people it's probably 4 minutes on the shorter side. For some people it's maybe 25 minutes. Some people even like it being an hour long. Just leave a comment below with how long or how short you like your audio stories to be, just out of interest. I would also like to give a shout out to all the people who listened to my story before I put it out on YouTube, just to help me spot any mistakes or errors or sounds that didn't process properly or things I missed. Thank you guys, you know who you are, you guys are amazing. Now I am recording this on the 20th of December 2022. Christmas is around the corner, it's almost the 25th. And the next story I would like to post will almost definitely, for sure, most likely be a Christmas themed story or a Santa Claus themed story, something along those lines. I do want to have it out by the 25th or before then, so that it's there for you to enjoy around Christmas time. So if you don't want to miss that, then be sure to subscribe so you get notified. I should probably stop rambling now. But I don't want to, because then I'm going to upload this video and remember that there's something I forgot to say. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? Whatever. It's almost midnight and I'm really tired. But yeah, if I remember anything, then I'll announce it in the next video. Again, thank you guys for sticking around this far into the video. Please be sure to leave a comment. Leave a like. If you don't want to miss the Christmas story, then please subscribe. And if you enjoyed it, then tell a friend about this story or share it with them. You never know whose day you might lighten up. Goodbye for now. See, I told you I would remember something. I wanted to say that I'm sure you heard it if you've got good ears, but there was a stupid annoying cricket in the background the whole time. Like the whole video it's there, but if you didn't hear it, then great. If you heard it, sorry, just sorry about that, but I'll try to do something about it next time. I hope that's everything. Bye.